Welcome everybody. I'm Mathilde from Plante Cité, and we are very pleased to welcome you to this fifth and last NBS Breakfast. For those joining us for the first time, NBS Breakfasts are organized in the scope of the European project Nature4Cities. The projects aim at creating a knowledge and assessment platform to help you at each stage of your NBS project. The NBS Breakfasts were designed to help you grasping all the issues met while trying to build the NBS project. On the first one, we came back to the concept of NBS. On the second one, we focused on the benefits of assessing your project. The third one was on governance, and the fourth one was on the economic aspects of NBS projects. If you want to discover the reason why all the tools that we are going to present to you today can be helpful to build your NBS project, we invite you to watch all the replays, and we are going to give you the link of the YouTube channel in the chat. But let's not wait any longer. Marion, can you tell us what is the menu of the day?
Yes, thank you, Mathilde. As Mathilde was saying to you, so far in this series of webinars, we have talked about the key aspects that you should think about to increase chances of successful NBS implementation in your city. And those concerns, they have also been a reflection starting point for Nature4Cities experts, whose objective was to build a technical and decision-making support platform for potential NBS users. So we are now a few months before the end of the project, and several tools of the platform are as of now ready to be used and help you towards that direction. So today we wanted to reveal you all the secrets of Nature4Cities platform. And in this breakfast, you have several Nature4Cities partners who are gathered to present you how to create, to assess, and to implement your NBS projects with Nature4Cities tools. So before starting, it seems important to remind what barriers and levers can influence the implementation of NBS, because as I said, it's been a starting point to understand better what functionalities the platform should provide to support all urban planning actors in developing nature-based projects. Some of the following aspects are that a first important concern is about technical knowledge and awareness needs, because indeed, barriers to widespread deployment of NBS can be related to both lack of knowledge and conventional urban planning tools and processes. So going from simple urban spaces greening toward real nature-based projects, it requires new specific skills to combine planning and environmental issues, as well as stakeholders still need to take ownership of the NBS concept. Moreover, NBS can be thought of as simple replacement for established solutions. They require a whole original governance approach. And integrating NBS into urban planning requires a change of mindsets by multiple stakeholders, more flexibility and collaboration, new business and financing approaches, and new integrated assessment capabilities to prove the reliability of such solutions. To address those needs, Nature4Cities platforms aims were thus to provide technical and decision-making support through the following functionalities. First, giving initiatives aiming at renaturing cities a higher visibility by building a knowledge base on NBS with for instance, access to specific data and demonstration of good practices. Then providing decision support tools for NBS projects implementation from governance to financing with models, canvas. Then again, providing a methodology and associated tools for the holistic assessment of costs, benefits, and co-benefits of NBS projects regarding environmental, social, and economic impacts. And finally, supporting an easy-to-use interaction and participation mechanisms of stakeholders, and in particular, to foster citizens' engagement. So Nature4Cities platform has been set in 3 main steps, each one composed of several modules in which you will all access specific tools. Step 1, create an NBS project, will allow you to get inspired to understand which NBS can fit your local context and needs regarding your urban challenges. Step 2, assess an NBS project, will allow you to define NBS scenarios for your city and to assess their impacts and benefits to check if they are adapted to address your urban challenges and select the most relevant ones. And finally, step 3, implement an NBS project, will allow you to set up the adequate governance process and to find ways to finance your chosen scenario. by guiding you through the essential implementation steps. So those functionalities, they are particularly adequate to orient you in the first steps of your project at planning stage for better integration of NBS requirements in all the following steps. It will not give you turnkey solutions because NBS are not a ready-to-use package, but it will guide you to find the good questions and levers regarding your specificities and local challenges. So now we will get in the heart of the platform. We will present you those 3 steps, and we start with the first module with Mathilde.
Yes, thank you. So to create an efficient and appropriated NBS project, the first step is to gain knowledge. There are different kinds of knowledge that you can develop about NBS to choose the one that will fit the most your local context and the scale of the issue that you want to solve. But you should also obtain knowledge about your local context himself. What are the challenges you want to address? Are there places in your city that would especially need NBS projects? What are your existing projects, and can your new projects generate some connectivity to link them in ecological corridors or to combine their benefits? To support you in this, Nature4Cities will offer you 3 modules. The first module, to discover NBS, with our tool called the NBS Explorer to navigate in the world of NBS. A second module, to discover inspiring projects and choose your NBS, with our project observatory, an NBS preselection tool called the GeoCluster for NBS, to get inspiration from pilot projects and check their replicability in your own context. And finally, a third module to rate the performance of your city and identify the best place to implement NBS, with 2 premium tools, Colory and Green City, that will help you doing a diagnostic of your city's strengths and vulnerabilities. So let's discover these tools a bit further. I have the pleasure to introduce you to the NBS Explorer. So in this tool, you can travel in the world of NBS following your own wishes and needs. By navigating, you get increasingly precise information, and you can even do the link between the NBS and the challenges they help addressing. The main advantage of that tool is that it is accessible even to non-specialists. So you can share the information about NBS and the one you want to choose and share the decision with a wide range of stakeholders. Let's go to a bit more in detail. So the typology presents 3 categories, 8 subcategories, 13 types of NBS, and 75 solutions, with 57 fact sheets that are currently being updated, and 11 challenges that you can explore either by selecting a challenge to discover the NBS that address it, or discovering all the challenges that a specific NBS addresses. But let's show you quickly how it looks like. So here you are in the NBS Explorer. You can, as I said, go from the categories, the big categories. You have strategies, objects, and actions. For example, I want to set up a strategy, and I have 2 choices: urban planning strategies and protection and conservation strategies. For example, I want an urban planning strategy, and then a planning tool and to control urban expansion. So when I click on the side, I get pictures, I get the challenges, the benefits, and the co-benefits that this NBS is going to provide me. Then I can see at which scale it's developed. I get a short description of this NBS, and if I want to go further, I can download the fact sheet that is going to give me some wider explanation of this NBS and how it can be developed, and some technical information about several aspects. And as I told you, you will see here all the challenges that this NBS can help addressing. But if I click, for example, on urban planning and governance, because it's interesting me, I can click on this challenge and I get all the NBS that answer this challenge. Here, when I click, I see that all these NBS can answer this challenge, urban planning and governance.
The GeoCluster for NBS is also a tool that will enable to explore NBS type, but also pioneer projects. So this tool will provide especially an overview the potential of NBS, and will provide to the user a kind of pre-selection of rated of NBS that can fit with their urban challenges and the scale of their project. So it is constituted by 4 different modules. The first one is about the project database that provides an overview of inspiring projects implementing NBS. The second one is the pre-selection tool that provides the possibility to select NBS type and pioneer projects from the user urban challenges and project scale. Then it's also possible to explore the NBS typology and to get information on NBS through this tool also. And finally, the tool provides the possibility to check the replicability of pioneer projects for or an NBS in your own site. So here we can see the different steps the user can use. So first, it can be, so it is asked to the user to select his urban challenges on 5 different topics: climate, environment, resource, social, and economic. Then based on these urban challenges, pre-selection, selection, and also on the scale of the user, the tool will explore within the project databases and the NBS databases and will propose the different project pre-selection of projects or NBS type that could fit with the user needs. And the user can explore these project databases, can have a look on different fact sheets, and then he can select one specific NBS or one specific pioneer project and check the replicability of this NBS or this pioneer project. In the next slide, you can see an example here. For instance, the user can have a need for the climate adaptation. For instance, he has with some issue with urban heat island, pollution, flooding, and maybe the user wants also to find a solution in order also to improve the public well-being. So by selecting these different urban challenges, the user can obtain the pioneer projects map that you can see on the left side, and he can explore the different pioneer projects proposed by the tool, and then he can download the Nature4Cities fact sheet or go directly through the UPLA fact sheet, which is also a link to our geocluster for NBS. Most of the Nature4Cities pioneer projects are implemented into the UPLA database, so it's possible to visualize the different elements of the pioneer project in order to get inspiration on for the user. So for instance, here we can see the example for the forester city of Lorient in France. And based on that, maybe the user will be interested by this specific pioneer case study and will select the urban forest has potential NBS to be implemented in his own city. And the user can then explore the replication possibilities, for instance, in Milan. And for instance, we can see in the right side the map where we have in red the localization where it's probably not possible at all to implement such NBS. In yellow, it has to be investigated, and in green, it is potentially possible to implement such NBS.
Hi everyone, I'm Clément MURGUE from Terranis. We are a little company of about 20 people in southern France, and I am also presenting for Colori, which is a company from northern Italy, about the same size as ours. And so the aim of our tools that we developed during the project was to have an overview of a city situation. That's why we call them diagnosis tools. The idea is to have interactive tools that the user can interact with. It gives exhaustive analysis of the vegetation over the city, quantify and qualify the vegetation regarding 2 main topics, which are biodiversity conservation and the quality of life. The idea of these tools really is to identify the key areas that need actions. So the difference between the 2 tools is very little, but mainly Green City is more for public organizations, and it has an overall city scale information, whereas Colory tool is more oriented towards the real estate sector and the citizens, and it's more adapted for analyzing the proximity and the accessibility of green spaces. The best thing is to show an example. So I will show the example of Green City because that's my tool. But I'm sure Mr. Pisani from Colory will be very interested in presenting it to you if you contact him. The idea here is to map the vegetation of a city. This is the city of Ankara in central Turkey. It's a huge city. It's about 5 million people. So what we do basically is we analyze satellite imagery and we make a map of vegetation, differentiating canopy and low vegetation. But this is not enough. The interesting part is to provide indicators. So we have two sets of indicators, one on biodiversity and the other one on well-being, quality of life. And here are these indicators. So there is always a choice of indicators, like a menu of indicators, and they're all synthesized in one general score. The interesting thing is that you can interact with the map, selecting areas and getting an update of the scores. You can also select the worst situations or the best situations. And this is for two topics, as I said, biodiversity and well-being. So this one is about well-being, and for example, you get one very interesting indicator is the accessibility to public green spaces. It takes into account the time, the demography, and the walking time to green spaces. So, for example, if I'm looking for the areas where well-being is worst in terms of vegetation accessibility, I will select the worst areas, and I know these are the key leverages if I want to change the situations. These areas here that I'm pointing at. So here it is. Thank you very much, and of course we're both available to speak about it and give more insights.
Thank you very much, Clément. So you've just discovered the first step of the platform, create your NBS project. And now if you have any questions about this module, you have 5 minutes to discuss about the tools you've just discovered.
We have a first question in the chat. It's for Clément. It's how large is each cell in, for example, Green City?
Yeah, the usual question. You decide. For Ankara, we chose a 500 meters size, but for smaller cities, like we worked on Albi, if you know Albi in France, we use 50 meters size of cells. So it really depends on the size of the city and what you're looking for, and we can tailor this. The other thing is we use this kind of cells, but we can also use existing delimitations like administrative neighborhoods. So this is the size of the analysis can be tailored.
We have a second question for you, Clément. Is the Green City tool, was accessibility determined only by imagery or also by questionnaires?
No, for now we only have imagery and other type of information, usually that we get from open data from the cities. But if the city doesn't have any data, our Green City is possible with only OpenStreetMap data. But we do have to use satellite imagery, and we can use the free ones that are 10 meters, or we can use priced ones that range from 0.2 meters, 20 centimeters resolution, up to 4 centimeters. And also we can tailor if you want a better analysis of the heights of the vegetation. For example, we're working now on the Eastern Paris, and they want a lot of precision on the heights of the canopy. So we're using 3D models, and we have about 0.5 meters precision on vertical.
Can this tool be applied on every town in Europe?
Worldwide, ma'am.
Okay.
We've worked we can do it worldwide, especially thanks to the OpenStreetMap data and the local open data from the cities.
How much did mapping in Ankara cost, and what if adding 3D? So do you have a...
The price range is depending on the size of the city, of course, but not so much. it's more the precision that you're looking for. For example, Ankara, I would be able to do it for about 20,000 euros with 10 meters resolution sentinel data from Copernicus, from the European Commission. But if you're looking for very precise, it would be something like 30 to 40,000 euros. So it really depends on the cost of the data that you're using. This is a price range, people. I'm not saying it would be the price. It's just to give you an idea. And we're working for about 10,000 euros in smaller town in southern France. And the important thing is to have really have a city. We've been approached by people in the countryside, very, very small city, and our indicators are not really adapted. They're adapted for urban environments. We have other indicators for rural environments dealing with agriculture, but it's not the green city, it's something else.
So let's jump now to the second step of Nature4Cities platform, which is the step where you are going to assess your NBS project. To ensure that your project has the expected outcomes, it is necessary to assess it. For this, you should choose some indicators and collect data to feed them. Nature4Cities will help you processing this data or expecting data and tell you the outcomes you could expect in 3 different aspects: the urban performance of your NBS, the environmental impact of your NBS, and the socio-economic impacts and benefits of your project. So the assessment part of Nature4Cities platform is composed of 2 modules: a diagnostic of your assessment needs and an assessment module when you can enter your data, create scenarios, and get some indications on all the aspects mentioned, so urban performance, environment, and society and economy. And then you can share your project with your colleagues and export the data obtained. But let's discover the tools. So Stéphanie, I let you present the first tool of this module.
So the first tool of this module is the diagnostic of your assessment needs questionnaire. So this is a knowledge support tool. It aims to evaluate and solve your city's urban challenges, or at least to explore a database of an expert model and method toolbox, which is capable to calculate key performance indicators for assessing NBS. So this database is constituted of more than 50 methods and models, and can assess indicators on 7 different urban challenges, mainly on the topic of on the environmental, climate, social, and also resource topics. The output is the list and description of methods and models that will enable to assess the impact of NBS on the specific urban challenges, which should correspond to the user needs. So this is constituted by 6 different steps. The user is asked several questions to ultimately lead to a selection of the most relevant methods and models. So 2 types of searches are possible. First, to search for methods and models to implement 1 or more NBS that can be used to assess the impact of urban challenges. And secondly, to search for methods and models that can be used as assessment tools to improve 1 or more urban challenges. And this, to arrive at a selection of relevant models, the user must fill in his choice of urban challenges, the NBS, the scale of the study, for instance, object, neighborhood, and city, and the key performance indicator that is expected to assess. So as I told you, a database of 52 methods and models will be explored, and then the most related methods and models will be proposed to assess the pre-selected key performance indicators depending on the user needs.
So next is the SOA tool. To assess the performance of your NBS in an urban environment, the SOA tool can give you a fine tool, and which is compiled from 3 components, which is the green path, the calorie, and the EMBB box. Basically, the simplified version of these expert tools were integrated into the SOA tool. GreenPass is specialized in microclimate analysis and human comfort in urban environment, preferably in object scale, while Colory is specialized in urban environment analysis in neighborhood or city scale. And actually, originally, it was designed for business analysis, but now they integrated environment analysis key indicators for the Nature4Cities platform. These kind of indicators were implemented. And the third one, the EMBB box, which is an acronym for Expert Model-Based Box, actually is a compilation of different methods and modules. And actually, each indicator is based on a specific expert model. So here you can see the covered KPIs and the covered urban sub-challenges on the right side. And here you can also see the flow of assessment method and assessment process. While first the user have to give some of the specific information about her or his project, for example, the geographic location, and also if they have some kind of data, also it should be given for the platform. While the platform uses online servers like OpenStreetMaps as a database, as a source, while inner databases were built by the partners as well. So the SOA2 uses these kinds of sources, and after the calculation, it will give back the results in PDF format for the user in form of maps, graphs, or charts, or so on. While each subtools, the GreenPass, Colory, and EMBB box works separately, you can choose which subtool you would like to use. If we see an actual project, for example, in Hungary, in Szeged, if you have a square where specific intervention would be carried out, then you can add your data for the current state, and then you can build a geographic database from which you can set the current status. And then if you modify the parameters, then you can see how it will be changed according to the parameters. And through this, you can build specific future scenarios. So actually, through this SOA tool, you can see how your NBS project will impact the surroundings of your urban environment. That's why it is useful for you. If the platform will be available, please give it a try.
Hello, good morning. Yes. So the Nature4Cities, we also developed a socioeconomic assessment module in the form of a software which works also independently from the Nature4Cities platform. It's called mBenefits, and it is the season support tool basically for quantifying and assessing the multiple ecosystem services which can be provided by implementing nature-based solutions in cities, following both a life cycle approach, so considering all the upstream phases and operational and management phases, and also end-of-life processes of implementing a nature-based solution in city, and allows to compute and visualize impacts in the form of costs and benefits, both in terms of physical and monetary ecosystem service values over time and over space. So how does it work? There are a number of sequential user-friendly web pages which can be accessed by the user after login. Basically, there is a configuration page where the user can set up all the attributes of the simulation, and then run the model and visualize and download the results. Specifically on the configuration page, there is a grid, moving grid, that the user can play with to set the implementation of a nature-based solution wherever in a city. The user can select the type of NBS, the type of species which can be implemented in the form of an archetype, select different soil characteristics and also other physical local conditions, some management conditions as well, such as the possibility to remove or not branches, foliage, and so on. the possibility to copy and paste over different cells the nature-based solution set up and then compute the results. And finally, the user can access a set of different graphs and charts which would show the costs and benefits associated with the implemented nature-based solution in city. So the costs usually associated with the life cycle phases, and so life cycle costs of the nature-based solutions put against the benefits associated with the provision of ecosystem services. In the end, it would be possible to obtain a net benefit ratio over time. So the point in time after which the nature-based solution could be sustainable from the economic perspective, and then also obtain some more specific charts related to biophysical figures, which would describe the ecosystem services, and the monetary figures, which could correspond to the different life cycle costs and the economic values as well associated with each economic ecosystem services. And that's it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pirène Larrey-Lassalle from Nobatek. I will present the environmental assessment, which has been made in Nature4Cities project. So the tool is composed in reality of two different subtools, a material flow analysis tool and simplified life cycle assessment tool. These two tools have been developed by EcoDengue and Nobatek in F4. What are the results of these tools? In fact, we can calculate material flow-based KPIs. We also can compare several NBS options between them, or NBS with gray solutions to show the interest of NBS compared to classic gray solutions. We can also identify the environmental hotspots, which are the main contributors to the impact, in order to know where do we have to put the efforts to improve the design of the NBS. And lastly, we can also ensure a holistic assessment of NBS to weight the urban benefits that Benedetto just presented with urban environmental burdens. So this tool is totally free on the Nature4Cities platform. And as we can see here on the right, it's based on the entire life cycle of the systems. So from production stage to use stage and to end of life stage. So this tool has been developed for two types of NBS so far, urban green spaces and green walls. This environmental assessment tool has a pre-configured modeling, which requires reduced expert knowledge and provides a faster analysis. So only about 20 parameters are required in the environmental assessment tool. So it may seem a lot like that, but in fact, to conduct an LCA, it's a very small amount of parameters. So these parameters have been selected based on the influence they have on the results. So we know they are the main contributors to the results. Here we can see an example of what can be asked to the user in the simplified tool. Default values are provided for all requested input parameters. If the user, for example, doesn't know the specific input for its own NBS. And as I was saying, you have also a lot of other parameters which are fixed and embedded in the modeling, so which cannot be changed by the user. So here is an example of what type of results you can obtain with these tools. So first on the left, for the material flow analysis, we can see, for example, that in the example of a green wall in Austria, that most of the raw material consumed during life cycle of the NBS is organic. So this is not really surprising. And we can also see that green wall is a better option in terms of building energy consumptions, including heating and cooling energy, compared to the baseline and gray solution scenarios. Regarding the LCA now, on the right side of the slide, the results are generally presented in stocked bar charts. So here you can see three types of damages: damage to human health, to ecosystems, and to resources. And we can see that most of the impacts come from the production of the green wall, mainly because of the extraction and the manufacturing of the aluminium, which is used for the planting system in blue-green, and for the mountain system in yellow. So once we know that the planting system is the main contributor to the overall damages, we can find solutions to make the design more environmental friendly. Thank you.
So you've now discovered the second step of the platform, a NBS project. So in just a very few minutes, if you have some questions about the tools you've just seen, ask them now in the chat.
So we have a question indeed. It's, do you think about the translation of all these tools for the stakeholders of each country? It really depends on the tools. For example, the NBS Explorer has been translated in 7 languages. Then I think that Green City and maybe the LTA tool has a French version. Pierre, I let you confirm that.
For now, no, we don't have a French version, but it can be done easily. Yes, it will depend of the needs from the people from the platform.
Okay, I think it's true for all the tools. For now, most of them are only in English, but on further developments, they could be translated in other languages. If we don't have any more questions, I suggest that we jump to the last part of the platform. So the third step is to implement your NBS project. The last thing you need to anticipate when building your NBS project is what is going to be your governance and financing model. Being multi-services answers to urban issues and being developed at several scales, NBS projects require to include a wide range of stakeholders from the different service of a municipality, but also to include external experts in the fields of, for example, ecological engineering or participation dynamics facilitation, for example, but also the inhabitants that can be enterprises or citizens. And because NBS have a significant long-term performance and can benefit from co-financing, they can tip the scale in their favor compared to gray solutions. So Nature4Cities created databases, guides, and tools to help you in these different aspects. There are 3 modules in this last part of the platform. First module collating knowledge about governance and financing models and how to implement them at best, composed of a step-by-step guide, a handbook, and an inspiring project database. A second module helping you creating your governance and financing model according to the specifications of your project and selecting for you similar project examples from the database. And a third module designed to concretely help you gathering all your stakeholders to conduct some collaborative work and communication with the Citizen Say tool. But let's start with the knowledge module. Sylvia, we'll let you present it.
Thank you, Mathilde, and good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Breukers from Duneworks, based in the Netherlands. So, as you may have guessed and have seen, the planning and implementation and also the preparation of NBS can be quite challenging, right? Because these are solutions that intervene in already existing and sometimes highly complex socio-ecological systems, and they require the bundling of various types of expertise between different sectors, disciplines, social, environmental, and economic, and also involving different types of knowledge. So I'll present a little bit about a handbook, implementation models database, and step-by-step guide. And to start with the handbook on the next slide, please. Well, basically, practitioners who work on climate adaptation and mitigation on a day-to-day basis, they are not necessarily familiar with NBS. And of course, the Nature4Cities project has developed a knowledge repository and a lot of tools that enable practitioners in the uptake of NBS. So that's very helpful. It can also be a bit overwhelming. We have seen this wealth of tools just now in 3/4 of an hour, which is very inspiring. But for those who have just started to consider NBS, we developed a handbook. And this presents part of the work that's done for the Nature4Cities project and is particularly suited for government officials, practitioners, project coordinators, or their colleagues, that are not yet that experienced with NBS. So this handbook presents a selection of tools that are especially useful for the early stages of NBS planning processes. One of these tools is the implementation models database. That's in the fourth bullet in the second point. And I just wanted to point out that that's a very nice searchable database with case study descriptions, short ones, but very clear and inspiring. And it offers a variety of NBS and provides insight in how an NBS can be applied in different contexts. One example of such a case study is a case in the Netherlands called Steenbreek or Brick Breakers. And the name already says it. This is an initiative that focuses on a very local scale at bottom-up initiatives where basically people in neighborhoods are encouraged to take out some bricks and plant something instead. It's more complicated than that, of course, but it's a nice example of a very inclusive approach based on placemaking, very local, situated, yet replicable, because it's a concept that has been adopted by 150 municipalities so far. Well, that was just a very short example. We now continue with the next slide, going to the step-by-step guide. And the connection between the case I just mentioned and the step-by-step guide is that the step-by-step guide is also very strongly based on both placemaking as well as on environmental justice principles. It is a guide that helps creating a framework for dialogue, negotiation, and learning throughout the planning and preparation of your NBS, in which diverse perspectives and types of knowledge are acknowledged and recognized, where there's room to discuss the distribution of benefits, but also the cost and the risks, and whereby an effort is done to support all participants in the process to help them express their views and become engaged. So the step-by-step guide is in some based on these notions from environmental justice. This sounds perhaps a bit theoretical, but basically it's a guide that's only like 37 pages long, and for each step and its sub-steps, it just discusses why is this step important, what does it entail, and how is it best addressed and by whom. So you can go to our website and take a look and browse through it and then see whether this guide is helpful for your situation or in total, or perhaps only in a few steps. So I hope you can take a look, and I thank you for your attention.
Hi, good morning. My name is Maida Arana from Tecnalia, and I'm going to introduce you the implementation model preselection tool developed within the project. The implementation model preselection tool is a web-based tool that allows to define the most appropriate implementation model, which for us is a combination of governance, financing, and business model for any NBS project. It's in the platform, the tool is in the platform, and the access is free. The functioning is very easy. The user needs to enter information about the project, and the tool filters among the different governance and financing models. The user has to select then the combination that wants to implement and check if there are projects with the same governance and financing models in the example section that is linked with the implementation model, with the implementation model database that Sylvia mentioned before, to use them as guidance. The business model must be defined then, and this is not that immediate. I mean that you cannot click in a button and get the business model for a project, but the tool provides the basis for the design of a business model. Next, please. As a demo would take us more than 3 minutes, I have recorded a video in a fast-forward mode to show you how to navigate through the tool. So as you can see, the tool is in the Implement an NBS Project section, and you have to click on the tool and the landing page will open. Then you have to click on the Start the Process and the NBS Project Definition page will open. Here you have to define each of the parameters of your project, and for that you have to click on the info boxes that are on the right side of each of the parameters. and a page will open with a description for each of the indicators, so the selection process is easier. So you have to select all the parameters and then click on the button below to check the eligible financing and governance models. And if you want to restart, there is a button where you can delete all the filters. Then you have to select the combination that is best for your project and check if there are available examples in the example section, and you can open the fact sheet from the implementation model database that can give you ideas for your implementation process. So this is the fact sheet. And then the last step is to complete the business model canvas. For that, some information comes from previous steps, like for example, the governance and financing models, but there is some other information that needs to be completed. And for that, you can download the Excel file, save the document in the desktop, and transfer the information from the tool into the Excel. And then it's opening, okay. And then to complete, you have instructions in the info box. A Word document, a Word file will open with all the instructions that you have to complete, and then to transfer this information into the canvas. We have also included a couple of examples that can be used as guidance when you are completing your canvas. The canvas is completed and the Word document as well, so you can use it as guidance. And the last page is a summary of the tool itself, and provides the link to download the implementation handbook, model handbook introduced by Sylvia before, and help the users in the implementation of an NBS project. And this is all. I hope everything is clear for you, and thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Marco Thiemann from Innova Integra, and I will talk to you briefly about the Citizen Say tool. Citizen Say is an online collaboration tool suite that integrates a number of collaboration methods and systems into a single integrated assessment. The use of Citizen Say is to involve citizens and other stakeholders together throughout the different stages of project definition, planning, execution, and monitoring. If you think back to the step-by-step guide, for instance, our goal is to give you a collaboration tool that lets you define the step-by-step guide as far as it's technical, in a technical system for communication, and then to execute workflows from, for instance, the step-by-step guide to help you in the different stages of your project plan. Next slide, please. And the way Citizen Say is constructed is it allows you to create activities, which can be a number of things. For instance, in an activity type that we have is to create an online survey, like you know from, for instance, SurveyMonkey, online calls such as this one, but also online calls that are augmented with additional activities such as collaborative editing of documents while you're doing a conference call in the same system, editing a map together, so where a user in a conference call can highlight elements on the map, or draw on a map, or place nature-based solution components on a map. And also some normal ideation activities such as card sorting, or voting, or all sorts of other typical activities that you would do in an ideation session. We try to put them all online and integrate them into one single system. As I said, these activities can be combined when it's useful, but we don't allow you to add a survey to a conference call, because we assume a survey takes a longer time to complete. But quick votes, for instance, you can use directly in a conference call, and it's integrated into the user interface. And the workflows that you can create are the sequences of these activities, and they allow you to schedule activities. You can have a survey, then have an online session to talk about results of the survey. You can send out automatic email reminders to follow up on something. And we also provide templates for workflow. So if there's a particular sequence that has, for instance, been defined in the step-by-step guide, then you can select a template that has the technically implementable parts of that step-by-step guide process already pre-designed, and you can make a copy of the template and adapt it to your needs. Next slide, please. Oh, you're already there. And finally, the Citizen Say platform also allows you to create, organize, monitor, and analyze all the outcomes of what you've done in your in your workflow. And so all the activities are recorded and documented. We automatically try to transcribe any spoken word input, and so that you can get a complete view of what is there. You can export this in different forms, and you end up with a single document that is output from the Citizen Say platform. So you get to have a single, everything is inside a single system. We have adapted the components to be useful for nature-based solutions for geographical interactions as well. And in the end, you get the results in a single document or in a single spreadsheet format, for instance, if you need that. I think that's it.
So we have a question about the maintenance stage, which is at which stage in the project design does maintenance get considered? And in Connecting Nature model, what maintenance and governance resources are available comes early in the analysis. So as Marion said in the beginning of this presentation, we identified that Nature4Cities tools will be especially useful to be used in the planning of the project and helping you anticipating all these aspects in the early stages of the project. And about maintenance, for example, in the AMB box presented by Barnabas earlier today, you have an indicator called SPI, Sustainable Practice Indicators, that can help you assessing either the maintenance you planned to do and the management you plan to have in your of your NBS, or the maintenance you are already doing in some existing project and you would like to assess to get better practices. Some of the tools and guides and databases are already available from now in a temporary landing page, so you can access them already. And you can even test the tools and do us a feedback because some tools are going to be implemented and improved after the end of the project. So every feedback is welcome.